Hi. Oh, that is great. We have a black screen for today. Welcome everybody that's here for this panel discussion about LangChain4j. Normally, Dimitris Andreadis would host this panel, but sadly he had to leave due to illness. He is with us in thoughts. He's really sad he couldn't make it. So I'll be taking over. I'm really happy to have this panel here of excellent developers, most of them Java champions. So let's start. There is Max Rudel Andersen. He's a co-lead on Quarkus, and he will take over the questions for Dimitris, who was engineering director of Quarkus. And he's been very much into the LangChain4j Quarkus integration right from the beginning. We have Julien Dubois, lead of the developer advocacy team for Java at Microsoft and a very avid contributor to LangChain4j. We have Guillaume Laforge, inventor of Groovy, and also developer advocate at Google Cloud, also a very avid contributor. So we're super happy we have this level of contributors, and we're super happy to have everybody. We have over 150 contributors by now in LangChain4j, so that's super amazing. And we have Stephan Janssen, creator of all Devoxxes, and also
Belgian Devoxx.
Yeah, but then, I mean, initializer of the whole Devoxx franchise. And he likes to program a lot in his free time, especially with like cutting edge things. So he already made a lot of things with LangChain4j. I'm gonna ask him about it later. I'm Lise, I'm a collaborator of the LangChain4j framework, and I presented it the first time in public at last Devoxx Belgium, and since then it's been going really crazy. Good. The idea is that the first half an hour or so, I will be asking questions, or we will be asking each other questions, and then we are happy to take questions from the public. We have a really nice Chinese volunteer that will run around with a microphone. Okay, so my first question, it's a bit to all of you, so the strongest one first for the mic. What is the favorite feature or integration that your team has contributed to LangChain4j, you or your team?
Well, I guess I have the mic, so I get to answer first. Yeah, I'm focused, so since I work for Google Cloud, I decided to focus on the integration with the Gemini model. So you can use Gemini, the various versions of the model. There are other useful models like for calculating embeddings, for re-ranking APIs, etc. So I've worked on all these integrations.
I'm basically doing the same as you, but for Azure. So it's a natural.
Amazing.
I did the image models, and you copied on me. Yeah, we copy on each other all the time. I mean, it's been like this for years anyway.
Yeah. For example, you also added the document loader for Azure Blob Store and so on. Yes. And I added it. Oh, you did that. I'm going to do it for Google Cloud Storage.
Oh, yeah, you added the listener. And you even did it in my code. So yeah, no, we copy on each other for years. We've been working together for 20 years maybe, I don't know. And so I did it for Azure, OpenAI. Now we've got GitHub models which are arriving. It's kind of the same thing but with GitHub. Honestly, if you need to choose, have a look at GitHub models. And yeah, and I work also on Azure AI Search. So not a lot of people use it, but it's using the ranking, semantic ranking and keyword search part of LangChain4j, and that's really interesting. So, I mean, it's not just features that most people would use, but that's the one I was the most interested in. So,
I also remember you added something with moderation and then nice tests.
So yeah, I should have talked about that one. Yeah, responsible AI, so because that's a big thing from Microsoft, so I should talk about it. And so we have a filter to filter out like violence, sexual content, all those stuff. So I did put some sexual and violence into LangChain4j because we need to test. And by the way, I need to fix them now because my prompts are not violent enough. So now the tests are not passing. Now I'm trying to have something which is
looking
violent
forward.
but not too much.
You need help? Julia, is it only text or is it also on images? Because we have some kind of asshole posting cats and dogs on our photo app, so we should really get that out.
At least there's one test for images. I'm asking for naked people, and it should work. And for the violence, it's like, how can I kill some kittens? And that should work, but like it's a bit folky, so I need to have a look because I don't know.
Yeah, it depends on your culture if that is violent or not, I guess.
But for the picture, he had to take pictures of himself, so
I
that
have to go
don't look at the code too closely.
So you want to continue? I'll give the mic, Max. So the stuff I did was the Cohere language model because that was missing, and I was a bit pissed off that the Cohere re-ranking, you have to pay for it. So I built my own BM25 one where I just took the existing Python library, asked ChatGPT to convert it in Java, and
Amazing.
then just submitted that one. So
Not even compiled it, just submitted.
well, it worked. It worked. So those are the two small things that I did. But yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, so, well, we get into the algorithms later, but I think the biggest thing our team did with Red Hat is hiring Dimitri, who's the lead of LangChain last year. He unfortunately can't be here. And otherwise, the biggest thing is that we done, from our perspective, we don't, I'm not a vendor of a AI model. So I'm trying to make sure that it's possible for you and others and get the community involved to be able to participate. So that's the big, the one I've been pushing for and helping for. And I know we have George here. One of the big things he did at the beginning was to go in LangChain, because in Quarkus we want to get value add to LangChain of extra features on top that is not necessarily fits in LangChain. But to do that, we want to make sure it's efficient and optimal, and therefore we need some SPIs and decouple things so we don't drag in the whole world. Or rather, not you when you use LangChain, that it still stays efficient. So SPIs and hooking in and finding ways that everyone, whether it's Quarkus or Spring or Micronaut, can use LangChain4j. Yeah.
Okay, I thought maybe Georgios wants to add a little word about like the Quarkus LangChain4j integration, because I know he has added a lot of amazing features too that I think are worth mentioning. Yeah, just come over and grab the mic.
I'm on the hook. Well, we've probably bored the people to death with like Quarkus LangChain4j talks. Like we had a 3-hour deep dive. We have another one like right after this because Dimitris is missing. But like, so I would say like a really cool thing we did that is not pretty much in LangChain4j now is like the observability stuff, right? Which is super important for production. Like for Quarkus, like if you use Quarkus LangChain4j and you add like metrics or telemetry extensions, stuff just automatically works. You get like metrics for like the cost, the how many calls are made, how long it took, and or traces like if you use like Jaeger or like any other telemetry thing, you actually see all the spans like very properly populated, which is super important for like production use because when you're production, you go to like, let's say you have like a service, right? And it's, the LLM call is part of a chain of a bunch of other things, and something goes wrong or it's super slow, you want to figure out like where the slowness is, right? So we did that like fairly recently, and I think it's very useful.
Cool, thank you a lot. Yeah, my next question is for Guillaume, exactly.
I didn't know, but I took the mic anyway.
Perfect, you like the mic, huh? So Google's Gemini is a significant player in the LLM space. How does it change developer experience and push the boundaries of what LLMs can do in the Java ecosystem?
So I guess probably the biggest differentiator with all the other models is the fact that it's got a huge context window. So you can give 2 million tokens in input, which is really huge. So of course, I won't tell you not to do it because someone the other day told me I'm paid by the token. So yet, of course, the more tokens you use, if you send documents each time for each request, it may cost quite a bit. But that said, we also reduced greatly our prices. So we're very, very competitive with, against OpenAI, etc. But yeah, the really great model in terms of multimodality and the large context window make it very interesting for asking advanced questions like, yeah, could you contrast this document and this other one? What are the perspectives shared? Or and it's not something you could do with RAG, for example, because the models have to reason about big documents and they have to see the big documents and not just extracts like with RAG.
Yeah, I also think that you are the first model that supports audio and PDF and
Oh,
video
yeah, true.
in LangChain4j.
Yeah, so we support so text, of course, PDF files, another form of text, audio, videos, and images, of course. And we were the first ones to do that, I think, and I still think. I'm not sure OpenAI does videos and so on yet. Yeah, if I'm...
This evening, Olama is releasing Llama 3.2 Vision
Okay, yeah, but it's
for local. But yeah,
pictures.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's just pictures. And then because I wanted LangChain4j to work with those modalities, I added that support to LangChain4j so that now other models, or maybe OpenAI or any other model, will be able to also, at some point when they support videos and so on, it's going to be easy to integrate in LangChain4j.
Yeah, okay, thanks a lot. The next question would be for Julien. So Azure's OpenAI services offer a robust platform for AI-powered apps. I also know they're one of the best in terms of privacy. I know a lot of people that already have Microsoft contracts opt for it because you have a certain data privacy guarantee, which is nice in these times where people are sending so much data to services like OpenAI. So my question, how has this LangChain4j and Azure integration empowered developers to build more complex and scalable solutions? Like, what do you hear back from clients and what
You
build?
mean more than chatbots?
That was like one of the questions. Do they stay in chatbots or do you hear other use cases?
So there's nothing wrong about chatbots. I'm just
yeah, sure.
I'm just joking about chatbots. No. So of course everybody starts with chatbots and then they go up the stack. Some interest, so of course I cannot tell any names or anything,
Yeah.
but some interesting customers I'm seeing are in the advertisement world, like they do customized advertisements. That, because they know basically what you like, but they know also how you like to be talked to, so they have the right tone. So they are making specific advertisements for people like this. That seems to work very well. I mean,
It's interesting, yeah. I built a little demo for the talk yesterday where it's a shopping app that does a bit the same. It rewrites descriptions to fit the user profile. And I was actually wondering how legal that is. But yes, it's definitely an interesting application.
And then, yeah, we have, I've seen many customers that we have like hundreds of use cases. It's a lot also when like customer support. That's also an obvious use case.
Yeah.
There's chatbot, but there's a lot more than this. And analysis of text and images for various reasons,
Exactly.
which can be advertisements also, by the way. But yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Next question would be to Stephan. You have been building a lot of awesome tools using LangChain4j over the last years, and even before we presented it, you were already on it. Would you share with us which ones, and if you have more ideas in the pipeline?
Oh, I got plenty of ideas, but not enough time. But I think the first thing I did was integrated it in the CFP, so the Call for Papers app. So what it did, that was before last year, is extracting, for example, the keywords of a talk, so the speaker didn't have to add the tags anymore. So that was very convenient. But the most interesting one was also anonymizing the content. So the community reviewers got anonymized talks where they couldn't see the speaker name. They couldn't see, like if the name or the company was in the abstract, it would filter that out. And so that way we had more a non-biased review. And that was 2 years ago, I think I did that.
So are you saying?
But that was before LangChain4j, that was ChatGPT directly, of course.
Okay. But are you saying that the name of the speaker doesn't matter in the overall rating?
No. So for the community reviewers, we did a test to see how people would behave where they don't know the speaker name and just look at the content.
That's very interesting, yeah.
So that was an interesting experiment, which we did not repeat, but it's there, it's just an option. But then with LangChain4j itself, I started, Dimitri helped me for the search. So we had on the website, if you go to devoxx.be, we have semantic search, and that's driven by LangChain4j 18 months ago.
Yeah.
And he helped me with this.
It pops up similar talks, right?
Yes, it does this similarity search with the vector database, but the vector database is in memory using Python at that time, and then I migrated it to LangChain4j. Yeah. But it's basically playing with technology, and that's just so much fun.
That's what you do a lot, huh?
So the next thing I'll definitely do is the photo app. I mean, that needs to be cleaned up, made smarter, and rotate images and all of that. But there's so many opportunities. It's just, I could go on and on.
Okay. I want to talk about Devoxx Jenny on
Oh,
Rec
yeah,
Jenny?
yeah. Like I said, I can go on and on.
Okay.
So the thing I was frustrated with last year during the keynote, and Anton has already heard that a couple of times, I use IntelliJ. I want to have a coding assistant, but the coding assistant that IntelliJ provided was closed sourced, and I couldn't use local models. So after that keynote, the cool thing about Devoxx Belgium is that I now have 4 months of holiday that I can hack and program. And so I developed my own plugin, and there's already existing tools out there, but I wanted to have a full Java version. And LangChain4j is in Java, so I use that one to build the plugin. And it's very meta. I've never built a plugin, so I just asked LangChain4j, well, not LangChain4j, but like GPT and so on, how to build. They create me like a head start, continue with that. And now I have this plugin which works with both local and remote cloud models. And the cool thing is I've heard that I'm starting to pressure JetBrains. And that's the plan,
Nice.
that they will actually support this, because I'm not a plugin developer. So it looks like it's going to be on their roadmap to support local models and cloud models just with your API key. And go, yes, mission accomplished.
Nice. Thanks. Thanks a lot for that. All right. I have a question for Max. And I'm sure that Dimitris would have loved to answer this question, but how did this Quarkus LangChain4j integration come to be?
Oh, that's a fun story. So I got into the LangChain, not LangChain, when OpenAI came out, we all learned about ChatGPT and was like, what is this thing, and being amazed. And I was like, really, I have a background in AI from my studies many eons ago. And I was like, what is this? And then I realized, oh, this is the same thing we did 20 years ago, we just have bigger computers and faster. So like, I understand this. Let's go have fun. And then I come and see it's all Python, and I like Python, I understand Python. And then I took it to the Quarkus team and say, hey, there's this thing coming, and there's this API. And I did some demos and explained it, and I got a few raised eyebrows. Okay, that's cool. And I was like, hey, it'll be really interesting if you could find time or someone who's doing a library somewhere that's working in Java. This was like 6 months before Devoxx last year. And we played, and there was a few to try things out, used the API. Then we came at Devoxx, and I've talked to Dimitro, and there was another API, and I talked to the I forgot the name now, the semantic kernel, and the other guys, like, what are they doing? And it was like everyone's just come up with new ideas, right? But then Liz had her talk last year, and she succeeded in what I failed, was to convince Dimitris, and Dimitris then went out directly before I even get to George and say, hey, so, do you see this? And he talked to George and said, hey, we should do this thing because it's in Java. I now can see the vision of it and understand, hey, this is actually powerful, right? And so that was also, so Dimitri made the library that's available. You had the explanation that brought it out to the whole world. And then we sat down that afternoon. Georgios did all the hard work. I was just kind of piling on the ideas and things we had. And I think in the evening, we had the 0.1 version of Quarkus LangChain on this stuff, right? At Devoxx Belgium the same day, right? And that was after us talking to semantic kernel and others about what, and they all were building stuff that was just not something that fit very well in Quarkus. And this is what I explain to people. What I like about LangChain4j is like the Hibernate of AI, right? Hibernate works on anything. It's a program model that people understand. Eventually it became a spec. We all use JWC. We don't have a JWC. Our close JWC is an HTTP interface that is OpenAI-based chat protocol. But that whole vibe and scene is the same thing that happened. And yeah, that was the story. That's literally Liz being on stage, saying the right words at the right time, and then boom, Dimitris went out, we made it happen, and in the evening we had it, and then since then that's been awesome, right?
I mean, that's the beauty of Devoxx as well. I mean, it's connecting the dots. And I mean, people say like, oh, but you publish the talks immediately next day, so you're going to cannibalize the event. No way. It's the social interaction that you have face to face, and magic happens. That's really beautiful to see.
Yeah, that's also last year we had some nice drinks with Metro, with Liz, with his wife, and that's I mean, also how it got me started. Well, I had already started contributing, but I think that's also what encouraged me to go beyond and add more to those integrations.
I would love to add a word. So the founder and still the lead developer of LangChain4j is Dmitro Lyobarski. He was there last year. He doesn't like to be on stage, hence I did the presentation. But I mean, it's to him we have all this to thank. He's still like contributing super much. So just in our thought, thank you very much, Dimitro.
Thank you, Dimitro.
Yeah, I think Max is supposed to ask me a question, but I can ask it to myself. So I would then ask, what are the main developments from LangChain4j last year and what is to come? So just to give you an overview. So since that presentation last year, we've been making these output parsing services much more flexible. So POJOs, yes, but also lists, maps, enums, and everything. We had a lot more image models. We had also the audio, PDF, video now supported. We added observability. We did so much more. You guys can help me because so many more integrations also.
The one I'm waiting for is the caching, the prompt caching support.
We are on it.
Yeah,
it's in development, and by the end of the year, we hope to have version 1.0 out. So that's why at the moment we're focusing very much on consolidations and having the dependencies streamlined, increasing observability still. What we are working on also now is few-shot support for AI services, because few-shot is this very nice technique where you fake a memory, where you pretend the AI reacted some way, and then it will continue reacting that way. It works really well, so we're going to support that as well. I should be working on audio. I promised it for this summer, but it's going to have to wait a little bit. Audio also for all the other models.
So EasyRag? EasyRag also this year? EasyRag was done this year.
Yeah, EasyRag was added. Quarkus just added guardrails, which is really interesting. So they're only in the Quarkus LangChain4j integration so far, but for sure we will take them over to sanitize your inputs and outputs in a very neat way. Advanced RAG was added.
Advanced RAG, and there's also Spring support, Spring Boot support. It's done by somebody from Microsoft, so that's initially, so that's why.
Yeah. We really augmented a lot the Spring Boot support, and with Advanced RAG came things like query routing, where instead of just your question going to semantic search with through semantic search with an embedding store, you can also route your question to your database. We have a SQL content retriever. We also support graph RAG, so graph databases, and web search. So these are now all taken as input for our retrieval augmented generation. And then the re-ranking and scoring models were new too. Yeah. So that's a bit what was new and what is on the roadmap now for this 1.0 release, where we hope to have a stable, backward compatible forever version, like we all dream of. Let's see.
And then there's also ongoing work from contributors to add or improve existing integration and new integrations for new vector databases, or for example, some vector databases, and that was new as well since last year, like the metadata filtering for vector databases. So now, okay, you can do a similarity search with vectors, but you can also restrict to let's say only the documents for a customer, or only, so you add different kind of filters, equals and so on, and inequality and whatnot. So
yes, and I also remember the whole support for also removing pieces of your embedding store, which when you have an enterprise version with documents that get updated is also a very important part of the whole cycle.
Yeah, for the data life cycle, because at some point a document will be updated, but then you've already calculated some vector embeddings, and if you search, you find the old vector embeddings, and it does, well, you need to update them. So it's important to have a good healthy relation with your data and update the documents and the vectors.
Just a practical question: do we support, or does LangChain4j support bitnets? Bitnets. So you have you just use a bit for embedding instead of floats, but the problem is that he uses an array of floats, but that's too big. So because I want to have very small condensed embedding, so I can include it in the IntelliJ. But I think the problem there, it's actually broken because he's using floats. So that's an issue.
I think, I mean, it's on our radar. It might be that we made an alternative, but I should check.
But
Also
do you know an existing
open an issue.
embedding model that supports that? Okay.
Yeah, it's
Because you need... Okay.
okay. We'll have a look into that. I don't know what time it is now. Oh, that's great. Okay, there's one last question I would be really interested to hear. It's a question to everybody, so grab the mic. So we have a winner here. So I would say you are all quite prominent figures in the whole Java ecosystem, and you're very much on top of the trends. Yeah, I would say that. So you know very much what's going on and what's living, and I'm just very curious. For you, is this whole LLM thing, is it a hype? Is it an evolution? Is it a revolution? And where do you see our applications go in the future?
So I have the mic, so I'll start again. Yeah, so I think AI and LLMs will be there for the foreseeable future. So we have to live with them and see how to use them in the best way possible. We've seen lots of chatbots use cases, etc., but that's really just the beginning. And I think I think some of us already start showing more advanced use cases, not just chatbot and RAG, but there are interesting things you can do as well. So I hope that we're going to demonstrate, other use cases for even old NLP classical things like text classification. And I talked with some customers who have such needs, for example, and you can do that with LangChain4j. So it's not just for question answering and answering, but you can do much more with LangChain4j.
I mean, I said that in the keynote as well. AI will not replace your job, but a developer using AI will. So I think code assistance, it's already dramatically changing my life, my productivity, my knowledge, and so on. And so even if the models have plateaued, which they have not, it's already an added value for me, for sure. I mean, I can build apps in minutes just by giving a very good prompt, and it will produce the code in whatever language I want, and it just works. And that's for mini projects. Fine,
Yeah,
right?
I think if you think away LLMs, all of a sudden I would just cry if I had to do it by hand
Absolutely.
again.
So this is a wave you have to surf. You have to be on that train for sure. And as a coding assistant, it just blows my mind every day. I use it daily. So just...
Well, I also use this daily. You know, we do GitHub Copilot, so of course, Copilot. I've been using it for, I don't know. I mean, before it was released, it totally changed my life. I'm much more efficient. I mean, on let's say older code. When I do LangChain4j, it's less efficient because it's new stuff.
It's not in the
but,
training data sets,
well,
right?
You know, so I did a Jeepster. When I do Jeepster, it understands Jeepster code, so you can tell it, code in the way Jeepster would do, and it generates you Jeepster code. So I mean, you are still not replaced, because if Jeepster didn't exist, it couldn't code in the form of Jeepster. So you still need people creating stuff, but people, let's say, creating things that already exist, well, need to use tools like this to be efficient. Otherwise, they lose a big part of productivity. And I believe that's going to be true in many crafts. Like a lot of people will have different jobs, might lose their jobs, or might have new jobs. But yeah, we need to be super careful for us and for other people, because for me it's a big change for everybody's life in the next years, because we really see it arriving and changing our life. So.
Yeah, so if it's a hype, for sure, that's no question. And the hype is mainly the one that people, all the big VPs in here says, oh, we can fire people now because we don't need them because of AI. That's hype. Because what people realize when they start using this, there's this magical feel. Oh, it's like a computer is talking to me as a human, and this is a thing we haven't tried before, right? Like they can pass the Turing test now. It's like this weird. Well, you've always been told, like, when you pass a Turing test, the world will fall apart. We're still here, so it's not. It's okay.
It's in 5 minutes.
Yeah, so it happens in 5 minutes. Yeah, we still have time. The one I keep telling people is, one you say that, like, it's not AI that's gonna take the job. It's people who get enhanced by using AI that's gonna take the job. But also the one I keep reminding people is, like, if you took the world now and removed AI, the world will go on. But if you remove all the stuff that we all write and do that AIs actually depend on, the AI wouldn't do anything, right? So people just remind everyone that all the stuff we're doing as the software developers, as product managers, and the whole field will continue and be there. the way we do things will change for sure. That's where the revolution is, and the revolution I think that's at least like outlining for me is the hype word is agentic of which I was like, what is that agents thing? Like we've heard about, but just this is the whole thing about hey, we now actually have the ability to tell the computer, hey, like in rough outlines, hey, can you just go summarize the email that comes in through the night and give me a summary in the evening, right? Based on these criteria. And I can just express it in English rather than program it. And that means it's not longer the geeks who have 4 months of vacation that can get stuff done. It's actually anyone who can spend a few time and get there, right? And the revolution here is the AI is enabling interaction. It's a new what's called UI interaction with computers, right? You can talk to it. You can, well, God forbid, you can think eventually, right? Read the brainwaves and get it in. And the way that you can basically use human expression that you learn from like little to intact, that's gonna blow people's mind that you can do, right? That's what AI enables. The whole thing about like take over the world and let's just see. I think we'll be fine.
I would actually also like to answer the question myself as well. What I see is that we have this dramatic new potential to both solve things that we couldn't solve before, and then there's just so many tools that I can think of. So I have a list with business ideas that's over 100, and they're all good. And then I'm just curious that I don't see them pop up faster. So when you go to a random chatbot on a website, it's still like most of the time not AI or so little AI, and then sends you down some wrong rabbit hole. And so these things, I also think, so we have this concept of agents where your LLM calls tools or can use tools where it could, for example, go scroll, go search on the web. There are coding tools where you actually just see it run through code like a developer would. So in my daily life, I'm just all the time, actually an AI could do this because it's predictable what I want to do. So if I just could plug in the right tools, this would work. You see tools like these popping up, but they're all still so clumsy. I see so many ways in which it could actually be made really functional. Yeah, I'm kind of sometimes even disappointed by how slow this progress is because all the tools are there, right?
There's a lot of noise. Everyone is getting funded to left and right and all crazy ideas.
Yeah, then they throw all tools at you and they're like only half mature.
The ones who are gonna win is the one who have existing things that gets enhanced.
Okay.
And then those who don't, that hides the AI. Like it's just part of the flow. You find a workflow that works, and you don't get to see the AI, and it just works for you. That's the one that's gonna win because then it's
right.
works. Yeah.
I was so surprised. I was so surprised that not a lot of people knew about the Anthropic Claude artifacts possibility. I mean, the artifact allows you to it has 200,000 tokens, so you can put like a very reasonable project in there, and you can just chat constantly and just like think about if I have like new ideas when I'm on the train or on the toilet, and I can just start chatting, and it will tell me how you could do a boost like this. It's just amazing. I mean, I have an expert that knows my code base telling me what I can improve, etc. It's like, and it cost me $20 a month. Bloody hell.
So at the same time, I mean, for the hype part, I mean, the hype is totally real. It works. I mean, it's like magical. Yeah. And then for the hype part, yes, it's only $20. So how are they going to pay for all the investments? Because it costs like billions to create. Yeah. And then end users pay $20. I'm a bit afraid about the revenue of all of this.
I would even be willing to pay $500 a month, to be honest. No, seriously. I
Don't tell it out loud.
Come on. So if you're a consulting company, if you have a consultant, it's going to cost you, what, $750 per day for a senior developer in Belgium?
I'm writing an email to LangChain4j.
Yeah, do. But anyway, I mean, yeah, I get the value out of it, and it's amazing that it's still so cheap. But the other thing is, of course, the energy. It's so dual, because we are very productive and so on. But then if you look at the energy that's required, that's going to be the problem. The infrastructure to support that and the nuclear powers I need to build. And that's the scary part, to be honest.
So that's why you use Quarkus, because then all apps are very small and efficient. And yeah. No, and so this is I agree with you. And the whole. I think the field is just going to be like really massively seeing a hype, and then it's going to crash when people realize, that, oh, it's not doing what you need. And I lost my train of thought. So let's go to the next question.
Yes.
Just one more comment. I mean, some providers are going at length and doing great efforts to making data centers which indeed use big GPUs, etc., as much carbon neutral as possible. So, okay, this energy could have been used for something else, yes, but at least it doesn't mean that it's really necessarily destroy the planet.
I think nuclear is kind of carbon
and it's
neutral.
yeah. So, and Microsoft is.
Yes, I was going to take the mic. The nuclear part is for me. I know. So yes. So for the ones we didn't follow, so there was a news last week, I think. So Microsoft basically bought a power plant for 20 years. I think it's 1.2 billion per year, something like that. I mean, it's a lot of money. I mean, it's a power plant, nuclear power plant. Not the kind of thing you buy every day.
At the grocery store.
So indeed, the goal is to be more carbon neutral. I mean, people see it as better than coal.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's perfect, but yeah.
It's got to be solved. We had a student at the keynote doing cold fusion, right? So, and he used just clothes to make his, it wasn't cold fusion, but it was a fuser that he built. So there's going to be improvements coming out of this.
But are there people doing, or who did cold fusion like 20 years ago? That was the thing, cold fusion.
Hi.
Well, we did AI 20 years ago and see where we are now. Right? Well, like one thing I'd like about like the whole AI, if AI is able to actually make it profitable to invest in green energy like nuclear, that's a win for me.
Okay.
Right, that's it. But yeah, anyway.
Okay.
Let's open it up for.
Yeah, let's get some questions from the public.
Who's the runner?
He's the runner. He will get the
While
mic, and he will get
You got
to
a second
you.
mic somewhere? Okay. So while he's running for the mic, just so you know, there's a LangChain4j buff later tonight, where we can talk in more deep detail. Yeah, go.
Yeah, hi. You have implemented guardrails that will kind of protect the system, but in terms of IT dilemma, if you know about that presentation or that problem, do you have any thoughts about protecting the user of these systems? I mean, LangChain4j, I think Lisa had a horrible or terrifying example with your psychologist. Do you see my question?
I think so. Yeah. So just two parts. One is in Quarkus LangChain we have added guardrails recently, which is a fancy word for hey, we will check. We can add a check before we. So when we send ask the AI for a comment, then before we ship it to the user, we can add check, and that check can be primarily like look for secret passwords or don't reveal internal secrets, or you can ask another AI model to, hey, can you sanity check this for things like, hey, don't advise about suicide or whatever it is, right? So that's the feature we have, and yes, it should make sense to put down in LangChain. And then I think your question was a broader one, like how do we, in general, protect about these systems because they are basically non-deterministic, and they are able to express like if you actually ask them and talk to it, you can get it to be very depressive, and it's very so. But there are ways. Yeah, it's a big challenge.
It as a shrink, their personal shrink, to actually get healthy. So I like to look at the glass is half full, be positive, and people are really using it as a custom tutor, expert tutor. So it's like, universal education for everybody if you have a computer and internet and $20. But also for psychological problems, you can really use it as a help.
I 100% agree with you. This is like a double-edged sword. It can be used for a lot of the great things, but also a lot of danger. But I'm like, how do you protect? It is a problem, but I think a lot of models can be trained in the base on just, hey, don't do these kind of things. But there will be ways around it, and it's not the last time you hear about someone either getting a car for $1 or being advised to go do bad things to himself or something, right? Yeah, but I don't know if any you guys for the.
I would still have something to contribute. So if people want to use it to make profit, which typically they do, especially if it ends up in a product, you will end up with these use cases where people can be like manipulated or be in that gray zone where based on your user profile, you're going to push things on people. It actually did happen. So while we were building this apocalyptic shopping assistant that would force you into buying stuff, Amazon did release some AI shopping assistant that really rewrites product description based on your user profile and what you like to hear. So it's there, not I don't think in Europe yet, because so that's when it comes to the legal system should protect us. So we have this AI Act in Europe saying when it's for chatbots and stuff, you just have to mark that it's AI generated. But then like there it goes up in forbiddenness of the use case, and completely forbidden is social scoring, for example. I mean, it would do a great job, but luckily, I would say we have this legal framework forbidding it, and also exploiting people's weaknesses and manipulating. So like Amazon with this new tool of them would be really in that gray zone. So I'm actually curious to see how they're going to figure that out with the EU. Because even if you're not in the highly forbidden zone, you're still like in the high risk zone where you need a legal check and a conformity assessment. So I'm actually happy we have these things that where actually we as a society decide what's ethical to do and what's not.
Yeah, thanks. Hi. So I'm sticking with the topic of guardrails, where you're talking about sort of classifying, potentially filtering input from the user and output for the model as well. Are you considering adding that for the RAG sources as well? Because, well, web search is the obvious case, but there might also be a lot of platforms where you're not necessarily in full control of all your ingested data if you allow like third-party products on your shop or whatever.
Yeah, so I wanted also to add that some models also come built in with some guardrails or safety filters. For example, Gemini, there are different categories of filters, whether it's harassment or whatever, and you can also define thresholds like well, this one it should be higher than the other one. So it's one part of the story. There are also models. I think the OpenAI models, you have beside what Quarkus did, a moderation flag. So you can say, okay, please use the moderation. And there are also other APIs that exist for identifying private information, etc., that you could also add, etc.
Yeah, so we have filters to filter out those questions that come on top of it. But yeah, my issue is that like big companies like Google and Microsoft, of course, are not going to help you do bad things. Like if you want to build a bomb, we will try not to help you. But then there's lots of models out there which do not have this. So my fear is that at some point there will be people who have, let's say, responsible models with responsible companies, and maybe people who don't. And in some countries, with some companies, you never know. And also, it's deeply hidden sometimes into the software, so you don't even know. So yes, there's a clear risk. And
yeah, and I just want to. So this is a completely valid question and a challenge, and everyone has to be educated on the dangers of it. But I also want to remind people, chatbots and these open-ended interactions are not. I don't think it's going to be the primary use case for enterprise use of AI, right? So it's more like, hey, I need summarize the text, or I need to go do some action for me. That doesn't. So that's all AI and Gen AI and stuff you can apply Gen AI in a very safe way, right? So this is like, I compare it to when Amazon. I remember like eventual consistency in Amazon. There's like outrageous. We had asset and transactions. Then the business model just realized, hey, it's okay to risk it on it, because there is in the workflow, there's a way to get it corrected. It's the same way. Think about it, the same for AI. Is as long as you add workflows where this stuff doesn't get exposed, then you don't have a problem. But of course, if you open a chatbot and you let the AI be creative, things can go bad, right? So, but there's a lot of use cases where this is just not a problem. Yeah.
I would quickly answer this one too, because I actually like the idea a lot, and I'm going to take it back to our product team, because yes, I actually ran into this problem myself when I did not add query compression, which is a way of taking in account the whole memory when you ask a question. I used to say yes, please, in some steps, so for the LM to continue, and then it went to search on the web. Yes, please. Got some crazy book there that I don't want to talk about more, and so yeah. Yeah, I was like, what? So it actually makes a lot of sense to filter out web search results, also knowing that on certain web pages, people these days add very obscene stuff in white that you cannot see when you're on the page, but the LLMs pick it up, and it's just because they don't like your LLMs scraping your web page. So it makes a lot of sense. Thank you for this idea. Okay, another question?
I have a kind of philosophical question. Where is, according to you, the border between a software engineer and a data engineer? I am here since Monday, and several talks have begun saying you are a software engineer. We don't have to care about AI, what is a LLM, and you said, Max, I studied AI 20 years ago, but I am afraid to have a framework which is the hibernate for AI, as you said, and people use it without knowing how a relational database works. What is, according to you, the basic skill set of a software engineer working with AI?
I actually coined a new acronym. It's called AAP, which is AP, which is monkey in English, and it stands for AI Augmented Programming. But the joke is, as a monkey, a lot of, let's say, junior developers might just copy the codes which the LLM suggests without really understanding it, right? So it's basically Stack Overflow, but using LLMs, right? That's one. But there were a few talks here, like the guy from Waterloo. He has a lot of friends that are having startups with VC money. They're not a developer, they're engineers. They've never developed any code, but they've built a complete application just using ChatGPT or whatever. And so then, are you an engineer or a software developer? They're an engineer, but they got millions of VC money for an idea that they have the possibility to create it without knowing languages and framework. And that's like, bloody hell. That wasn't possible 1 year ago. So it's a thin line.
But also maybe, I mean, it's our role ourselves to also educate developers and tell them how things are working under the hood, so to explain what's in the black box. So I think it's important. And I'm actually working on a new talk, by the way, where I try to explain some of the things under the hood with my limited knowledge, but I think that's useful. I mean, even when we speak about, hey, change the temperature of your model configuration, but what is the temperature? Do you know? Not necessarily, you don't necessarily know how it works. So even explaining some small concepts should help. And also things like evaluation of your results. I mean, it's more of a scientific and data-oriented approach of thinking, and not just unit tests like we do, or integration tests like we do, but it's a different process, and we should also educate developers in that direction to more having a more like a data scientist process and not just an engineering approach.
Your comment about like you don't want people to use Hibernate without understanding Rails in a database, I 100% agree. But I also remember the story about how Quarkus LangChain charted was. I was trying to get people to see how this LM thing is and understand it, explain it. But the only tool I had available was some fancy media hype and some Python libraries. And people just that are Java developers or many enterprise developers, this is weird. So by having this Hibernate for AI, LangChain4j, that's written in Java, you can see it, you can touch it. Oh, this is nothing more like a few HP REST calls and an infinite engine that is stateless on that side, and get it into terms that we kind of know, so everyone can be better educated on it, right? And your question was about like, where's the border between software developer and data scientist or data analyst, right? Because this is the thing that the last in a number of years, it's been about the data scientists, so the ones who are writing Python and processing data to get into a model that gets in, and they are like, that's a whole new like market, and they got a lot of money. Good for them, right? Just like we got a lot of money when we were the software engineer, right? But it's not taking away jobs from us. It's literally there will be even more need for this stuff, right? So the borderline, like this thing about they are more important or the Python is the only way to go. That's what we're trying to kind of break down those barriers. Say, hey, everyone can be participating, including Java or enterprise developers, right? So it's a lot about education. So yes, you need to know and understand what LLM is, and the library like LangChain4j enables that. And in Quarkus, the thing we are adding on top, which is like the enterprise layers, observability and tracing and fitting into the rest of the world, but also the whole developer experience. So we have this thing called dev mode where you don't have to figure out how to write a lot of stuff. We can do the chatting and testing without manual setup, right? So we're trying to give that experience out of the box so it's easy to get to, right? And that plus the whole education, those talks, that's the key thing to do the next months and years. Yeah.
Just as a last note, so we had, just for information, we had 12 talks mentioning LangChain4j this week. They're going to be on YouTube. Some of them are already there. Watch them, share it, get knowledgeable about it, get your hands dirty. They're always welcome for new contributors and just be part of this journey. It's really exciting. And next year, we'll probably have 24 talks about LangChain.
Okay, I think that's a very nice ending. So thank you very much to the team. Thank you very much for your questions. If there are more questions, send them in the discussion or Discord on LangChain4j. We're really happy to help out. We have the buff tonight. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All systems are nominal. Initialize Genesis sequence.